An extraordinary tomorrow. That's right, an extraordinary tomorrow. That's what we're going to be exploring today. Hi, it's Martin, coach, speaker, author, and yeah, this is the grand finale of another 3-part series. In the first episode, we looked at the past, pre-COVID-19, and what was extraordinary, and what we are desperate to rush back to, but then also the things on a global scale and also in our day-to-day lives that really just weren't serving us. It felt like it was an out of control freight train running at 100 miles an hour that was never going to stop. And yet we then found ourselves in episode 2 in an extraordinary today, where things that in a million years we wouldn't have thought would have been able to stop have across the globe in an experience that we are all connected with. Simply incredible and fascinating timing that this would come out of the blue and hit the human race like this at such a time when things did feel so out of control. And what we found was, during this time, there are so many positives. There are so many things that we're now doing and experiencing on a day-to-day basis that we weren't able to do before because, well, we could blame systems and processes and cultures, but essentially it was our own choices. See, we always have a choice as to what we do, what we spend our time doing. It's very easy for us to get carried away with the systems, the processes, the emergencies, the important, the urgents. And before you know it, our lives are overrun with deadlines and demands and expectations. Very little time for ourselves, let alone our families. And yet we've got a glimpse right now of a life that kind of like things that we don't really want to let go of. So the question is, how can we use these things, use these experiences, use the learning, use the lessons, and use them to build our extraordinary tomorrow? I've said before that I feel it would be disrespectful, a disservice to all those that have suffered with this terrible virus, either have had it and survived, had it passed away, and the extraordinary effect it has on friends and families of those people that have been impacted. I think it would be a crude disservice if we didn't learn and do something different going forward. Nature has come along and given us a fair warning that you are out of control, human race. You weren't going to stop. Therefore, we made the decision for you. It's a little bit when stress ends up being like burnout. You carry on, you carry on, you carry on. You're never going to stop. And then all of a sudden, your body and mind takes the choice out of your hands and starts shutting down. That's kind of what's happened on a global scale. It really is phenomenal. You see, when we entered the 2020s with all that expectation and excitement, a decade that actually was definable as the 20s, we reflect back on the roaring 20s and we saw that, the decadence, the excitement, the creativity. It was an abundant decade. And we look back that 100 years time and we look back and say, wow, that's what it was stood for. That's what those people stood for. And we entered this decade thinking, what's our roaring 20s going to stand for? Is this going to be the decade where we start taking control of things, where we start living a life on our terms, a more rewarding, a more abundant life? Is this when all those old processes and systems that just didn't seem to be gelling because it's the 21st century and we've got technology which, to be honest, we don't even have the self-discipline to use healthily? Is this the time when things start to change? We might have questioned ourselves and said, well, I don't know how, but I'm hoping so, and I'm going to start with myself. Now, we weren't to know that just around the corner was going to be a global pandemic. In 100 years' time, people looking back on our roaring 20s, they're going to see, my goodness, they went in with great expectation, and then the entire world was hit by this tragedy, this huge global trauma, and the world practically stopped. The question for each and every one of us is, what do we do next? Those people looking at us in 100 years' time, that's the bit they're going to be really interested in. Did we take this opportunity? Did we take this time to reassess and realign ourselves and live more abundantly as a human race? Did we take this opportunity, or did we squander it and go back to old ways? I hope it's the former. For this is what we do next is going to define our generation, the next generation, and how we're seen in the future in the history books. I don't mean that as pressure. I mean that as an exciting prospect. A time when families find a way where they can work and have purpose and serving others, but also have quality time together, where everyone can look after their health in a far better way, that serving others was a joy, not a massive burden. You see great big expensive buildings where people are trudging to, when actually most of those people could work from home or in a different location. Maybe we could save money on huge buildings and all the utilities that it takes to run them, and use that money more wisely. Maybe have a simpler, smaller base where people do still come together. There are many questions to be asked and answered going forward. Whole workforces are now going to be thinking, I can do something different here. No longer are you out on a limb thinking, you know what, in order to reduce my stress and my overwhelm, I want to ask for flexible working, but I'm worried about that. All of a sudden, you know what? You've got an entire workforce that's now thinking, well, not only can I work flexibly and work from home, maybe I could even work a 5-day week in 4 days and have an extra day off. Or maybe I could work 9 days, but do 10 days work. And because it's at home, it's much easier to do that. And I've got more time with my family. Maybe I could be more flexible about when I work so that it can work around my family commitments. Because you know what? I enjoyed picking my kids up from school. I enjoyed sitting down with them and helping them with their homework. I enjoyed being with my family and seeing their growth and their development, and just seeing how amazing these small people were turning into incredible young adults. Maybe some of that is the focus going forward. So I leave you with these thoughts, these to inspire you, to motivate you, to look at what's happening right now. take the good from the past, and then figure out, you know what could your future look like? What could your future day to day, your week look like? What could your future job look like? How could you support people in a different way? What does your community and your society look like going forward? And it starts with you and I. And as always, if you ever want to talk this stuff through, that's what I'm here for. I help people improve their lives, live a life worth remembering. And this is the time, this is the opportunity we've been given to create a life going forward that is a life worth remembering. And it's a life in honor of all those that have been impacted by this virus right now. What an incredible tribute, what an incredible legacy to leave behind. What an incredible story for the history books. Until next time, stay safe.